Could we be suffering without being aware of it? Can you give us examples from daily life when we may not be aware of our own suffering? We can be suffering without knowing we are suffering. Yes. One time in Buddha's life, he told that attachment is suffering. And then lots of people didn't agree with it, didn't like it. And there were lots of discussion about it. And then the queen of that land was a great devotee of Buddha. But when she heard that, attachment and desire is suffering, she didn't like it. She couldn't understand. She couldn't accept it. So she went to Buddha and she said, Bhagwan Buddha, I have lots of respect for you. I think you are great, very wise person. And I like all your teachings. I'm your student. But is it true that you said that desire and attachment is suffering? And it can't be. It's not. Because that's what is, I think, most wonderful, to have desire, to have attachment, which brings lots of joy. And Buddha said, who you have lots of attachment? Who is the one you have the most attachment to? He said, my child, my children. I have so much attachment to my children. And they are actually the source of my joy, source of my happiness, my children. And Buddha said, do you worry about them? He said, oh yes. I worry so much about them. The moment they are out of my sight, I start to worry about them. If something happens to them, it would be so devastating. And Buddha said, look there. Isn't that suffering? Now, sometimes when you say that, then again you have lots of problems. You think that, oh, that means that I should not love my children, or I should not have love. That's not the idea. You should have love your child. You should be very loving to your child. You should be very loving to not only your children, but to everybody. But generally, when we love somebody, we cannot separate it from attachment. And therefore, that attachment brings suffering. Love doesn't bring suffering, but attachment brings suffering. And as long as that attachment is there, then you always worry, then you always are anxious, then you always, because it's your way of relating with that love. It's not, because attachment is not. You can be very loving without actually attachment, but we have attachment, and when we have attachment and love, then love becomes complicated. It's a little bit like that. Maybe my example was not very good, but that's one thing I can think about now.